What's up everybody, Kinetic here and welcome to another showcase of Diablo 3 builds. In this new series I'm going to be talking about some of the best ways you can build your characters in the upcoming 2.6.1 patch for Season 12. We're going to start by looking at some of the ways to build your class based on a gear set for solo speed runs capable of farming on Torment 13 difficulty. These may not necessarily be the best builds for speed running, but they are fun, fast, and will satisfy your need for speed with the highlighted set. These builds are especially designed for players with low Paragon point count and few if any ancient legendary items, so if you're already rocking a respectable amount of either of those, these builds will perform even better. Let's get started. Whirlwind is back, baby, not just for speed runs, but I spotted several Whirlwind builds pushing for the top of the leaderboards in greater rifts on the PTR. A few adjustments have been made, including a rework of a popular skill Battle Rage, and also gear tweaks including the Band of Might and the Wrath of the Waste set bonuses. The Band of Might buff is the most notable and one of the most essential for getting our Whirlwind Barbie up to par with pushing harder content levels. The overall tankiness and loose gear requirements also allows us the build to explore a number of fun choices for gear and skills. Taking a look at the gear, we're going with 5 pieces of Wrath of the Waste set with hexing pants, with a reroll priority on the Whirlwind skill on the feet and head. Also place a diamond in the socket of your head and look for open slots for cooldown reduction. For accessories, I have the Hellfire Amulet, Nemesis Bracers, Band of Might, Royal Ring, and Chilanix Chain. For weapons, I go with the classic bul-kathos swords. Istvan's Blades is also a good choice for weapons, but this is a speedrunning build, so you're better off with the bul-kathos swords if you have them. Teguk, Bane of the Stricken, and Pain Enhancer are our legendary gems of choice, with Furnace, Mantle of Channeling, and Skull Grasp rounding out our gear in the Kanai Cube. Now let's quickly go over the skills and passives. For the active skills, I have Furious Charge with the Merciless Assault rune to trigger the Band of Might toughness buff, and it's also a great movement ability to speed you faster through areas and can even be used to dodge enemy attacks. Next to that, I have Whirlwind with the Hurricane rune. I really love this rune. I've used it in past builds. It draws enemies to my location where I'm spinning, making it a lot easier to shred the close and long-range enemies at the same time. And speaking of shredding, Ren's usefulness as a skill isn't great alone, but combined with the toughness buff and the damage that it gives us as part of its set bonus, it's a great choice. And the Bloodbath rune works great with our Hurricane effect, as it deals damage to enemies that are closer next to each other. Because we have a heavy emphasis on speed, we'd be fools not to take advantage of the up to 40% movement speed buff with the Chilanix belt for Warcry. The Impunity rune also gives us a nice boost to our resistances. And speaking of speed boosts, Battle Rage with Ferocity is also going to add another 15% movement speed, as well as giving us a nice damage bonus. And no Whirlwind build is complete without Wrath of the Berserker with the Insanity rune. The passives will depend whether or not you have a Hellfire Amulet. If you don't have one, I highly recommend that you get one for every class that you play. With this, it will come with a random passive for your class, and so depending on the passive that you get, hopefully you get a good one. That can change the kind of selection you might make then for your passives. But for me personally, I have a Ruthless Hellfire Amulet, which is a really great passive to have. So that's going to be one of the 5 in total that I'll have, including Pound of Flesh, Rampage, Boon of bul-kathos, and Berserker's Rage. Now that we've gone over the gear and skills, I want to talk about how the action plays out with this build. It might seem like a no-brainer, just spin to win, right? Well, yes and no. Band of Might requires us to use either Furious Charge, Ground Stomp, or Leap to trigger the toughness buff, and we really need that toughness buff. Otherwise, we could pretty much get one shot. We'd also miss out on a huge damage buff and toughness buff without Ren, so incorporating those two and some other skills will give us some more clicking action in the mix of our Whirlwind. But essentially it goes something like this. First, we're going to ensure that we have Battle Rage active at all times, and try not to stop spinning to keep the Teguk stacks up. We want to keep these maxed out at 10 if we possibly can at all times. When you're on the hunt, for example, to find maybe an elite pack like I usually am, use a combination of Furious Charge and Warcry to travel around the map faster. When you find an elite pack, if you haven't already, go ahead and Furious Charge again to make sure that we've got our Band of Might toughness buff, pop Wrath of the Berserker, and tag the enemies with Rend, all while continuing to Whirlwind until they're dead. It's really not that much more complicated than just Whirlwinding, but without clicking some of these in the priority where they're meant to be hit, then you could either have a sloppy fight or you could be dead. So it does pay to pay attention. And if you're good, you can even loot items while barely getting out of your Whirlwind. There's like a small window of opportunity. If you stop and then quickly click on something, you can go back to Whirlwinding. Or if you're really good, you can actually click things with your left mouse button while your right mouse Whirlwinding to activate like chests or even pick up loot. So it's kind of a fun little mini challenge while you're running rifts or doing bounties and stuff. But yeah, guys, I hope that you are enjoying these Diablo 3 builds. Whirlwind is such a classic way to play Barbarian. It's what got me started when I was playing Diablo 2 way back in the day, and going into D3, I can't let the opportunity slip to play some Whirlwind action, even in the midst of all of these other amazing builds for Barbarian and for the other classes. Speaking of which, I've got more builds on the way. We've still got to cover T13 builds for Demon Hunter, Wizard, Crusader. I'm going to try and throw in some other videos in here and there talking about greater rift runs and some other cool stuff on the way to the patch and beyond that, which is coming up in about a month, I'd say. The Season 12 and patch 2.6.1 should be around in about, I don't know, maybe November or something like that, possibly. We'll see. Until then, I want to know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Click the like button to support Diablo 3 builds here on the channel, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next video. Thanks again for watching. This is Kinetic, and I'll see you next time.